Today, I speak to Dario Cucci. We are speaking all around mindset and limiting beliefs, and this is a great conversation I thoroughly enjoyed. As a bit of a background to Dario, he started his company On Call Business over 4 years ago to provide small business owners with powerful mindset, communication, and sales coaching services. Since starting the company, he's held several seminars and workshops in the UK and in Switzerland. He provides one-to-one sales coaching, group sales coaching, and also holds in-person self-development events and intensive sales training workshops. So let's dive in. Dario, it's great to speak to you. Welcome to Uncover Wealth Radio.
Thank you, Annette, for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I am excited to speak. So today we are speaking about a subject that I love to learn about and I love to speak about and share about, and that is mindset and limiting beliefs. So tell me, Dario, when did you, I'm just chucking this question at you. I haven't even prepped you for this, and this might be like quite a big question, but when did you first realize that mindset in business was important?
Well, I mean, the time when I got offered a job to work with a company that, an agency that promoted Anthony Robbins. I don't know if you heard about him. I'm sure you have.
I'm sure most of our listeners have too. Yep.
So that was actually the first, not the first time, but the most impactful time where I realized the importance of mindset. And because what happened was, for about 4 or 5 years, I was working as a personal trainer and had a franchise with Fitness First at the time. And I switched careers. I got into, NLP training with Dr. Tad James and Adriana back in Australia. And I learned timeline therapy and hypnosis and all that beautiful stuff. And I started applying that with, my private coaching clients. But then I also got offered to work with a company and that promoted Anthony Robbins events like Date with Destiny, Unleash the Power Within. Mm-hmm. And for the first time, I had a job where I didn't see the person. I heard their voices when I spoke to them, but I didn't see them. And even though I had a positive mindset, it was complete new territory for me in the way that I applied myself in, building the trust and all of that. And so at first I thought, well, it will be easy because I'm trained in NLP and all that stuff. Little did I know it wasn't as easy as I thought it would be. And I was based on commission-based salary, which meant that if I didn't sell, I didn't make money.
Yeah.
And for 2 weeks, I called people that heard about him but haven't really done much. So literally cold leads, if you want.
Yeah.
And because they haven't heard from the company for at least half a year, I had to regain their trust again and build up that relationship. And so I got very frustrated during the first 2 weeks because I didn't make any sales at all. Okay. And I remember getting up one morning, looking in my bank account. I got about $300 left in my bank account. Didn't know how I'm going to pay the rent. That was $900. Yeah. And I thought to myself, if I am not going to make a sale today, I'm going to quit this job and get a regular job that has a secure income. And I had this mindset today, either I'm going to make a sale or I'm going to quit.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, on that day, I ended up going with a certain level of confidence followed up with an existing lead that was interested in Date with Destiny. Mm-hmm. And through the way that I held the conversation and through the way that I gave myself, over the phone, and that I kept on going forward and back, asking my supervisor questions and then answering them over the phone. Mm-hmm. And at the end, I asked that person, a lady, so are you now ready to commit yourself to Date with Destiny and get the ticket? And she was like, yes. And I was like, yeah. And that was my first sale that I made that literally saved my life. Because not only did I end up getting the sale, I made $1,000 commission on that sale. And it literally saved my life because I had enough money to pay for my rent.
Yeah.
And from there on, my career progressed, and I made on average of about $5,000 to $10,000 in monthly sales commission, doing that kind of selling over the phone, literally of programs of Tony Robbins, later on through other mentors and experts, and that ultimately proved to me that the mindset is such an important factor, because if I hadn't had that mindset, I believe I would have not made that sale.
Yeah. Well, you were almost in a kind of, well, I'm just going to go for it because I have nothing to lose situation as well, weren't you? Because if you'd already decided, well, you know what, by the end of the day, if I don't make a sale, I'm out of here anyway. It's not like they're going to sack me. I'm gone because I need to find the cash somehow. You almost kind of force yourself into that, well, I've got nothing to lose here, so I may as well just give this my all and go for it.
Exactly. And I do believe that is one of the reasons why I ended up becoming very successful in what I did when I was working for other companies before I ended up, starting my own business. So, that mindset ultimately is the driving factor on why you are closing sales.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, Dario, you say that mindset controls about 95% of our outcomes and our behaviors to sell more and serve our clients better. Tell me how that works. 95% is huge.
It is, yeah, absolutely. Because, well, the thing about this is, as soon as we have make assumption about the clients, making assumption about certain things that we believe in, and that we might not even consciously believe, we might just on a subconscious level believe that, like, how many times we hear that say, money doesn't grow on trees, right? As an example. Now, as a business professional, you might not think about that consciously, but on a subconscious level, you go like, when it's hard and you have a lot of bills to pay, you go, well, money doesn't grow on trees.
Yeah.
And the reason I say it's 95% is because most of our actions and the things that we do when it comes to talking to people, in the way that we lead people and the way that we are actually dealing with customers, has to do with our belief systems. So everything that you believe in, conscious and on a subconscious level, both, ultimately drives you to do those actions or inactions. So if you have the belief that I'm not a good salesperson, then guess what? Every time you're holding a conversation, that will be tainted, because you will not come across confidence, because you got that belief, I'm not a good salesperson.
Yeah, and you almost get proved right, don't you? You get proved correct, and that fuels your belief as well.
Exactly. And so that's why I say 95%, because how many times do we self-sabotage by making assumptions? Like, I give you an example. I have so many clients and past clients that came to me and said, you know what? I do believe that I'm worth asking for more money, but what if people cannot afford me? So before they even tell the person what they want, they will actually compromise and go lower.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, most of the times they give away way too much stuff for free just so that they get a client. And most of the time that person is then not a good client, because they're late with payments, they're not paying it correctly, and so on and so forth. They are, canceling the program halfway through. Why? Because you had the belief, I don't want to charge too much, which is a limiting belief to, again, or people can't afford me. Well, how do you know?
Yeah, or the belief that people will come in and they'll cancel halfway through, and then they do.
Exactly. So, and those are all, I believe, they are on a subconscious level. ingrained in you. Sometimes you carry beliefs that are not even your own. They are from your parents.
Yeah.
So your parents might have told you, you can only be successful when you work hard.
Yeah.
Which, I'm not saying it's not true, but there's also people that work hard and have fun and have success.
Yeah.
And then there is people that don't work hard and they have success. Why is that? Because they have a different belief. They might say, you know what, I enjoy my work, and as a result, I make a lot of money.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I also see this all the time with the clients we work with as well, particularly the pieces around pricing and those beliefs, those self-beliefs around pricing. It's so fascinating. So in this situation where I think we can all agree that our mindset is kind of driving our results ultimately, consciously or subconsciously, but certainly significantly impacting our results. What can we do in order to move our mindset into a state that's going to actually support what we say that we want to achieve or what we believe we want to achieve?
Well, there is no shortcut, to be quite honest. I think that I can...
You don't have a magic wand, Dario? No magic wand?
No magic wand, unfortunately. But I think one thing you can do is you need to work on yourself. I mean, this is why people come to me ultimately, and to work on that stuff so that it can help them. But one of the things that you can do is you can change the way you are looking at your beliefs. So let's say you have negative beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
Change them around and practice every day to tell you differently. So it's I say that's the logical process, so it eventually goes into the subconscious mind. If you want it to be faster, then come to me and I do like a timeline therapy or things like that, where I work directly with your subconscious mind and help you reprogram that and even eliminate those limiting beliefs.
And
so give an example. If you had to believe I'm not a good salesperson as a negative limiting belief, you could go the opposite. Is I'm a great salesperson and I love closing sales. Mm-hmm. So now you got, and then what you do is you write that on the mirror. Mm-hmm. And every morning when you're brushing your teeth, when you're doing anything, you see that one sentence that's a positive. Mm-hmm. And you might even say it out loud a few times each day, in the morning and in the evening, to remind yourself that. And guess what? The more you do that, the more it will actually help you shift your subconscious mind in your beliefs.
Yeah, and I guess some of these kind of conscious beliefs are probably I'm going to say easiest, for want of a better word, ones to work on ourselves, because they're the most obvious to us as humans, as individuals, and therefore we can kind of catch ourselves, telling ourselves those conscious ones. But I suspect for many, many people, it's those really underlying subconscious ones actually that are tripping them up really frequently. But the thing is that they've not even been brought to consciousness level yet. And therefore, actually, they're going to be a bit more stubborn to try and find and identify and pick out, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's where what needs to happen is then you have someone like me where I can guide you to communicate with your subconscious mind and pinpoint and help you find where was the first event for you to resolve it. Because when you resolve the first event that caused that limiting belief, then all the other limiting beliefs will actually disappear as well. And then they will align differently. They will have a different perspective on life. I had a person recently, a businesswoman that I helped become more confident when it comes to setting boundaries and knowing what she wants in life. And we did that in one session. And before, she wasn't confident. She didn't set boundaries. She didn't know what she wanted. Now she knows that, and that is the beginning. But that immediately made a huge change in the way that she communicated with the people around her, including her partner and things like that. And on one hand, it's a small thing if you think about it, but for us, for our lives, it's a huge thing. Some people carry this around for 10, 20, 30 years, or even until their dad die, and that ultimately limits their way of living, the way of being successful, and because they're self-sabotaging their own things they want to achieve.
With both the clients you've worked with, Dario, how far back in time is the furthest back that you've gone to identify the kind of initial belief?
Well, a few lifetimes.
Well, that's what I was curious as to whether you were going to go back to previous lifetimes. That was what I was curious about, whether it was actually things that we've brought in from previous times on the planet rather than, when you were a 2-year-old.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, everybody has a different belief when it comes to that. And my belief personally, and I have seen it, is that our soul has multiple lives when it's been reborn into a different body. And sometimes, or not sometimes, all the time actually, every time it's born, it's almost like it gets all the memories that we generated in the lifetime before, gets capsulated in a security vault, and it's there. Now, it's there for a reason. It's literally there so that ultimately it's like a reminder to why you are born, on what you need to learn, so that what's been stored in the security vault can ultimately transform you in the next lifetime. So it's almost like every time it goes back, you can compare it to, let's say, it's like a bank. And every time, and your soul is almost like looking at, what do I need to pay off in order to evolve? Almost like a loan, if you like.
Yeah.
But because it doesn't want to color what it is that you are supposed to achieve in this lifetime, therefore you cannot remember consciously. So the only way that you are getting that key to unlock that vault, to get that memory and look at what is it that my purpose is, what do I need to learn right now to evolve, is when you are ultimately understanding how to communicate and go on in a trance state to allow yourself to go there and allow the subconscious mind, or your soul, if you like, to go into the vault and go, here, I open it up for you. Here is the path. This is what you need to learn. And once you've done that, then you will close it up again. And that's where the power lies ultimately. I had one client, his biggest problem was that he never got love from his mom. So therefore, he always looked at being in a victim mode and sabotaging himself, because that was the way that he got loved by other people. And that way he got attention from his mom when he got in trouble, because he felt like he wouldn't get that otherwise.
Yeah.
So as soon as and then we looked at, so there was a memory when I was 5-year-old, but then there was another memory where, like in 2 lifetimes ago, where he had the same kind of issue. And as soon as it was about loving, like what he needed to learn was to love himself. So he wouldn't need the love of somebody else. But he didn't love himself, even like in the previous life. So therefore, in this lifetime, he carried that on for 2 lives more. In this lifetime, he still needs to learn that. So he realized, now he's still working on that. This is why I'm saying it's not a magical pill, but that in itself, in a nutshell, is a revelation that some people never get.
Yeah.
Because then when you got that revelation, then you can go, okay, so I can work on myself on that point. And as a result, you have an easier life because now you're consciously aware of it and you can actually progress further and evolve through it.
Yeah, that's absolutely fascinating. So tell me, are humans able to unlock this kind of soul vault themselves, like on their own? Or do you need the support of someone else to kind of take you back there and unlock that?
I'd say 99% of humans, I'm sure there's 1% they can do it on their own, but they're very evolved, I'd say.
Yeah.
Like, like Hare Krishna or Deepak Chopra and even maybe Oprah Winfrey. Like those people that have been working on themselves all life long.
Yeah.
Even I myself can do that.
Yeah.
But then you need to have worked on yourself quite a while and you have to be evolved in that way. And even then, I have to say, I actually prefer when I actually work with somebody that can guide me rather than doing it myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's easier.
I'm sure.
It's easier. So, but most people can't because you're not supposed to think logically. Am I doing this right now? Is this right now logic or is it my subconscious mind? And the subconscious mind, each person has a different way of communicating. Some people are more visual inclined. Others are more auditory and others are more kinesthetic and others have more like a logical internal dialogue.
Yeah.
And depending what it is that is your primary, that will be the main thing that your subconscious mind will show up when you're asking those kind of questions. Sometimes it will be the primary plus another one or two things, but there's always a preferred primary that your subconscious will use. Now, the problem, if you were to do it yourself, is you need to be in a relaxed state without judgment. What do we do as human beings?
I was going to say that's really difficult when we're humans, is to be without judgment, particularly to ourselves.
Exactly.
We're the best judgmenters. I'm just making up a word. We're the best people judging ourselves.
Exactly. So therefore, it's much easier when you have someone like me that guides you, for instance, because then you can literally let go of trying to be in control and judging things and trust the process. And that's why it's best to do it with somebody that understands how to actually manage it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Dario, this has been fascinating. I have very, very much enjoyed this conversation. Why don't you tell our listeners where they can find out a little bit more about you, how they can connect with you and all those good things?
Sure. Well, the easiest way to connect with me is when you go to my website, dariocucci.net. You can there book yourself in for a 30-minute discovery call with me, where I'm also happy to give you some tips on how you can improve your own mindset and your communication and sales strategy, if that's what you want. And then we can talk about if you would like to, continue working with me as your coach. And if then that's the case, then I will tell you how we can actually progress and work together. And the other thing that, I've written a few books, so you can always find me online on Amazon. There's one book that I wrote a few years back, Turn Customers into Profit. And another book that I wrote, Crossroads to Clarity. But if you are an entrepreneur and you want to learn about mindset and how you can serve your customers better, turn your customers into profit is a good book to buy. And so that's those are the things that you can do. And I'm available on, you can reach out through LinkedIn or Facebook. But the easiest way to get in touch with me is through my website, through the booking, because then I ultimately do a Zoom call with you. It will be 30 minutes conversation, just like we are having right now, in a way, just like that. There's no hard selling because I don't believe in that. I believe that I'm best serving you when you're ready to work with me without having to convince you that you should be ready.
Great, that's
I
awesome.
mean, I mean, I can do that, though it has shown in the past when I do that, then it's ultimately people are not actually willing to go that mile, that to put in the work. And one of my philosophies is ultimately you need to want to become your own hero.
Yeah.
And if you need to and you want to become your own hero, by working with me, then that's a perfect fit, because that means that no matter what you end up, paying for my services, when I give you homework, you will actually do them because you're driven by it, by wanting to improve yourself. If you're not driven by that, nothing will change. You might get, an improvement, but you will not change because you're not actually willing to work on yourself and become accountable for your own actions.
Yeah, that's awesome, Dario. I love that. We'll also, of course, put the links to your books and your website and everything into the show notes as well. So Dario, once again, thank you so much for coming on. It has been a great conversation. I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm sure our listeners will as well. Thanks again.
Thank you for having me.